You know that feeling when you check your bank account after paying rent and you're left with like $17 and the crushing realization that you'll be eating ramen for the next 2 weeks? Yeah, we've all been there. But what if I told you there's a way to flip that script entirely and generate $4,700 every single month without your boss breathing down your neck about those TPS reports? I'm talking about dividend income that hits your account like clockwork while you're binge-watching Netflix in your pajamas. And no, this isn't some crypto pyramid scheme your college roommate is trying to sell you on Instagram. This is a legitimate strategy that combines the best of both worlds, high-yield dividends and growth investing, to get you to financial freedom faster than traditional methods. Here's the thing about $4,700 a month. That's not just beer money or vacation fund cash. That's life-changing money. That's covering your rent, your car payment, your student loans, and still having enough left over to actually enjoy your 20s and 30s instead of just surviving them. Most people think you need $1 million portfolio to generate that kind of passive income. Spoiler alert, you don't. The average person following traditional investment advice would need to save for decades to reach this level of dividend income. But we're not average people, are we? We're the generation that figured out how to make a living from TikTok dances and turned GameStop into a meme stock revolution. We can definitely crack the code on dividend investing. Let's talk about why the old-school dividend playbook is basically financial quicksand for our generation. Your dad probably told you to buy some blue-chip stocks, collect your measly 2% dividend yield, and wait 40 years to retire. Cool story, Dad, but some of us would like to retire before our backs give out and we start complaining about kids these days. Traditional dividend investing is like trying to fill a swimming pool with a garden hose while someone else is draining it with a fire hose. You're putting money into these safe dividend stocks that yield maybe 3% if you're lucky, while inflation is eating away at your purchasing power faster than you can say avocado toast. And don't even get me started on the whole dividend aristocrats thing. These are companies that have increased their dividends for 25 consecutive years. Sounds impressive until you realize that means they were probably around when your parents were listening to Nirvana on actual CDs. Some of these companies are moving slower than dial-up internet and about as exciting as watching paint dry. The real kicker? Most financial advisors will tell you to diversify into these low-yield dividend funds where you're basically paying management fees to underperform the market. It's like paying someone to make you a peanut butter sandwich, and they give you 2 slices of bread with a Post-it note that says, "Imagine peanut butter here." Meanwhile, you're sitting there watching your portfolio grow at the speed of government bureaucracy while your cost of living increases faster than housing prices in San Francisco. By the time traditional dividend investing gets you to $4,700 a month, you'll need $8,000 a month just to maintain the same lifestyle. The problem isn't dividend investing itself. The problem is the outdated approach that treats all dividend stocks like they're created equal and ignores the massive opportunities in high-growth dividend plays that can accelerate your timeline from decades to years. All right, here's where things get spicy. The $4,700 cheat code isn't about picking one strategy and riding it into the sunset. It's about creating what I call the hybrid dividend engine, a combination of high-yield dividend stocks and dividend growth stocks that work together like the financial equivalent of peanut butter and jelly. Think of it this way. Traditional investing is like trying to get to your destination using only surface streets, hitting every red light and getting stuck behind someone doing 25 in a 45 zone. The hybrid approach is like having access to both surface streets and the highway. You use each one strategically to get where you're going faster. Here's how the math breaks down. To generate $4,700 a month, you need $56,400 a year in dividend income. Now, if you're stuck in the traditional 3% yield mindset, you'd need almost $1.9 million invested. But with a hybrid approach targeting an average yield of 6% to 8%, you only need between $705,000 and $940,000. Still sounds like a lot? Stay with me. The secret sauce is the combination play. You're going to split your portfolio into 2 buckets. Bucket 1 is your high-yield foundation. Think REITs, utility stocks, and business development companies that are currently yielding 7% to 12%. These are your cash flow generators that start paying you immediately. Bucket 2 is your growth accelerator. Dividend growth stocks that might only yield 2% to 4% today, but are increasing their dividends by 10% to 20% annually. Companies like Microsoft, Apple, and Visa that are printing money faster than the Federal Reserve and sharing the wealth with shareholders. The beauty of this hybrid system is that your high-yield stocks are funding your lifestyle today, while your growth stocks are compounding your future income. It's like having a job that pays you now and also gives you raises that compound year over year, Except this job never fires you and doesn't require you to pretend to look busy when your manager walks by. But here's where most people mess up. They try to build this portfolio with leftover money after they've already spent everything on rent, car payments, and their daily Starbucks addiction. That's like trying to build a house with whatever materials are left in the dumpster. You need a systematic approach to funding this machine, and that's where your 9 to 5 becomes your secret weapon instead of your prison sentence. Your regular job isn't just paying your bills anymore, it's funding your freedom machine. Every paycheck becomes ammunition for your dividend portfolio. Instead of lifestyle inflation eating away at every raise you get, you're redirecting that money into assets that will eventually replace your entire salary. The timeline? With aggressive saving and smart allocation, you can realistically build this $4,700 monthly dividend engine in 8 to 12 years instead of the 30 to 40 years traditional methods require. And the best part? You're getting paid the entire time you're building it. Okay, so you're probably thinking, cool story, Adam, but I can barely afford my Netflix subscription, and you want me to build a dividend empire. I get it. The gap between where you are now and $4,700 a month feels bigger than the plot holes in the last season of Game of Thrones. But here's the thing. You don't need to start with some massive lump sum. You need to start with a system. And that system begins with what I call the stealth wealth protocol, because you're basically going to be building wealth right under everyone's nose, including your own spending habits. Step 1 is the income audit, and this might hurt worse than watching your ex's Instagram stories. You need to figure out exactly how much money is flowing through your life every month. Not just your salary, but everything. Your side hustle income, that tax refund you blew on concert tickets, the random $20 you found in your winter coat. Most people skip this step because it's about as fun as a root canal, but you can't optimize what you don't measure. Use any budgeting app or just a simple spreadsheet. The goal isn't to judge your past financial decisions. We've all bought things we didn't need with money we didn't have to impress people we didn't like. Step 2 is identifying your dividend funding rate. This is how much money you can realistically redirect toward your dividend portfolio every month without living like a monk. Start with 15% to 20% of your after-tax income. If you're making $50,000 a year, that's roughly $500 to $650 a month going straight into your dividend machine. Now, before you panic about that number, remember that this isn't just money disappearing into the void. This is money that's going to start paying you back almost immediately through dividends, and eventually it's going to replace your entire salary. It's like paying yourself first, except future you is going to be way more grateful than present you realizes. Step 3 is setting up your dividend investment accounts. You'll want a taxable brokerage account for flexibility and a Roth IRA for tax-free growth. The Roth is especially clutch because dividend income in a Roth IRA grows completely tax-free. It's like having a money tree that the IRS can't touch. Choose a brokerage with zero commission trades because you're going to be making regular purchases, and those $5 to $10 fees add up faster than your screen time on TikTok. Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and E-Trade all offer commission-free stock trades, so pick whichever interface doesn't make you want to throw your phone across the room. Step 4 is the automation setup, and this is where the magic happens. You're going to automate everything so you don't have to rely on willpower, which, let's be honest, is about as reliable as your college roommate paying you back that $50 they borrowed. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your investment account on the same day you get paid. Make it happen before you even see the money, because money you never see is money you never miss. It's like the financial equivalent of eating vegetables before dessert. You just get it over with. The key is starting with an amount that doesn't make you break out in a cold sweat. If $500 a month feels impossible, start with $200. If $200 feels crazy, start with $100. The important thing is starting. Because compound interest doesn't care about your starting amount. It cares about time and consistency. Here's a pro tip that's going to save you from yourself. Set up a separate fun money account with a small automatic transfer too. Maybe $50 to $100 a month that you can blow on whatever makes you happy without guilt. This prevents the budget rebellion that happens when you try to be too restrictive and end up going on a spending spree that would make a Kardashian jealous. Let's break down the actual numbers because math doesn't lie, even when your bank account does. To generate $4,700 a month, you need $56,400 in annual dividend income. Now, the question is how much money you need invested to generate that level of cash flow. If you're targeting an average portfolio yield of 7%, you need roughly $805,714 invested. I know that sounds like monopoly money right now, but stick with me because the path to get there is more achievable than you think. Let's say you're 25 years old and you can invest $600 a month into your dividend portfolio. With a conservative 8% annual return including dividend reinvestment, you'd hit that $805,000 target in about 22 years. Not bad, but we can do better. Here's where the hybrid strategy really shines. Instead of just buying and holding, you're strategically reinvesting dividends during your accumulation phase to accelerate growth. Those dividends you're receiving? They're buying more shares, which generate more dividends, which buy more shares. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, except the snowball is made of money and the hill is compound interest. But let's get more aggressive with the math. If you can bump your monthly investment to $800 and target a 9% annual return through smart stock selection, you can hit your target in about 19 years. Increase it to $1,000 a month with a 10% return, and you're looking at 16 years. Now, I know what you're thinking. Adam, where am I supposed to find an extra $400 to $800 a month? Here's the thing about income growth over time. That $600 you're investing today doesn't stay $600 forever. As your salary increases, as you get promotions, as you develop side hustles, that monthly investment amount grows with your income. The average person's income increases by about 3% to 5% annually. If you commit to investing 50% of every raise you get, your monthly investment amount compounds alongside your dividend portfolio. It's like having two engines working toward the same goal. Let's look at a realistic scenario. You start at 27 with $500 a month. Every year you increase that amount by $50 as your income grows. By year 10, you're investing $950 a month. By year 15, you're at $1,200 a month. The combination of increasing contributions and compound growth gets you to that $4,700 monthly dividend target much faster than static contributions. The beautiful thing about this math is that it's not theoretical. It's based on historical market performance and dividend yields that exist right now in today's market. Let's talk about what this actually looks like in practice because theory is great. But seeing real portfolios in action is like finally understanding why everyone was obsessed with that dress that looked blue and black to some people and white and gold to others. Except this time, we're all going to see green. Meet Sarah, a 29-year-old marketing manager who started building her dividend portfolio 3 years ago with $400 a month. She's not some Wall Street genius or trust fund baby. She's just someone who got tired of living paycheck to paycheck and decided to do something about it. Sarah's portfolio is split 60-40 between high-yield and growth dividend stocks. Her high-yield bucket includes realty income, which pays monthly dividends like clockwork and currently yields about 5.8%. She also owns Enterprise Products Partners, an energy pipeline company yielding around 8.2%. These stocks are her foundation. They're generating cash flow today while she builds the rest of her portfolio. Her growth bucket includes Microsoft, which only yields about 0.7% but has increased its dividend by an average of 10% annually over the past decade. She also owns Visa, yielding around 0.6% but growing dividends at about 15% per year. These companies are like that friend who seems boring now but ends up being wildly successful later. After 3 years of consistent investing, Sarah's portfolio is worth about $18,500 and generates roughly $95 a month in dividends. That might not sound like much, but remember, she started with zero. Those dividends are getting reinvested automatically, buying more shares every month without her having to think about it. Here's where it gets interesting. If Sarah continues at her current pace, she'll hit $4,700 in monthly dividends in about 18 years. But if she increases her monthly investment by just $100 every 2 years as her income grows, she cuts that timeline down to 14 years. And if she gets aggressive and invests any bonuses or tax refunds, we're talking 12 years or less. Let's look at another example. Mike is 32 and makes about $65,000 a year as a software developer. He started his dividend journey later than Sarah but has more monthly cash flow, about $750 a month going into his portfolio. Mike's approach is slightly more aggressive with a 50-50 split between high-yield and growth stocks. His high-yield positions include Altria, the tobacco company yielding about 8.5%, and Verizon at around 6.8%. Yes, tobacco stocks come with ethical considerations, but Mike's approach is purely financial. These companies generate massive cash flows and have been paying dividends for decades. On the growth side, Mike owns Home Depot, yielding about 2.4% but with a track record of 12% annual dividend increases. He also has positions in Johnson & Johnson and Coca-Cola, boring companies that have been making money since your grandparents were complaining about kids these days. After 18 months of investing, Mike's portfolio is worth about $15,200 and generates $78 monthly in dividends. His timeline to $4,700 monthly is about 16 years at his current contribution rate. But Mike has a secret weapon. He's been freelancing on weekends and investing 100% of that income into his dividend portfolio. The freelance income varies, but it averages about $300 extra per month. That additional investment accelerates his timeline significantly. Instead of 16 years, he's looking at about 12 years to financial freedom. It's like finding a cheat code in a video game, except the prize is never having to set another alarm clock. Both Sarah and Mike are using what I call the stealth wealth approach. Their friends have no idea they're building these dividend machines because they're not driving Lamborghinis or posting about it on social media. They're just quietly and consistently building wealth while everyone else is arguing about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, taxes. Just kidding, nobody likes taxes. But understanding them is the difference between keeping your dividend income and handing it over to Uncle Sam like you're paying for his Netflix subscription. The good news about dividend income is that most of it qualifies for preferential tax treatment. Qualified dividends are taxed at capital gains rates, which are lower than ordinary income tax rates. For most people in our target demographic, that means 0%, 15%, or 20% tax on dividend income instead of your regular income tax rate. Here's where it gets interesting for your strategy. If you're single and your total income including dividends is under $44,625, you pay 0% tax on qualified dividends. Zero. It's like finding money in your old jeans, except the government is actually letting you keep it. This creates a powerful opportunity for early retirement planning. Once your dividend income reaches a certain level, you might be able to quit your job and live entirely off dividends while paying minimal taxes. It's like having a part-time job that pays full-time money and the government gives you a discount. But here's where you need to be strategic about account placement. Your Roth IRA should be your best friend for dividend investing because everything in there grows tax-free forever. The catch is you can only contribute $6,500 per year if you're under 50, so you'll need to use taxable accounts for larger investment amounts. The strategy is to max out your Roth IRA first with your highest-yielding dividend stocks. Since you're not paying taxes on that income anyway, you want your biggest dividend generators in the tax-free account. Your growth dividend stocks can go in taxable accounts since they're yielding less, and you'll benefit from the preferential tax treatment. One tax optimization trick that most people miss is tax loss harvesting in your taxable accounts. If you have any losing positions, you can sell them to realize the loss and immediately buy a similar but not identical stock. The loss offsets your dividend income for tax purposes while you maintain your market exposure. Another strategy is geographic diversification for tax purposes. Some dividend-paying stocks are foreign companies, and you might be able to claim foreign tax credits to offset double taxation. It's complicated, but your tax software or accountant can handle the details. The key is thinking about taxes from day one, not just when April rolls around and you're scrambling to figure out why you owe money. With proper planning, your dividend strategy can be incredibly tax efficient while building toward that $4,700 monthly goal. Look, I'd love to tell you this strategy is foolproof, but that would be like saying your college diet of energy drinks and pizza rolls was nutritionally complete. Every investment strategy has risks, and pretending they don't exist is how people end up broke and bitter, posting angry comments on financial YouTube videos. The biggest risk with dividend investing is what I call the dividend trap. Just because a company pays a high dividend doesn't mean it's sustainable. Some companies are like that friend who always picks up the check at dinner but is secretly maxing out credit cards. They're paying dividends they can't afford to maintain their stock price. When companies cut dividends, two bad things happen simultaneously. First, your income drops faster than your motivation on a Monday morning. Second, the stock price usually tanks because dividend investors bail out like passengers on the Titanic. It's a double hit that can set your timeline back by years if you're not careful. Then there's interest rate risk, which is basically the financial equivalent of your ex showing up right when you're finally happy with someone new. When interest rates rise, dividend stocks often fall because bonds become more attractive. Why accept the volatility of dividend stocks when you can get guaranteed returns from government bonds? Economic recessions are another wild card. During the 2008 financial crisis, even solid dividend-paying companies cut their payouts. Bank of America, General Electric, and dozens of other reliable dividend stocks slashed their payments or eliminated them entirely. It was like finding out your favorite restaurant started serving gas station sushi. But here's the thing about risks. Acknowledging them isn't meant to scare you away from investing. It's meant to help you invest smarter. The hybrid strategy actually helps mitigate some of these risks through diversification across sectors and dividend strategies. Your high-yield positions might be more volatile, but your dividend growth stocks tend to be more stable during market downturns. Companies like Microsoft and Apple have such strong cash flows that they can maintain and even increase dividends during recessions. They're like that one friend who somehow always has their life together while everyone else is falling apart. The key is building in safety margins and not putting all your eggs in one basket, even if that basket is paying you monthly dividends. Diversification isn't just about owning different stocks. It's about owning different types of dividend strategies that respond differently to market conditions. And you can use the one I share in this next video to hit $10,000 a month.